Offshore bonds are part of mainstream financial planning. They are not just used by billionaires seeking to avoid tax. Like ISAs, an offshore bond is a wrapper. It gets its own special tax treatment. Many banks and insurance companies, which are household names, operate offshore businesses in places like Dublin, Luxembourg and the Isle of Man. These offshore areas have their own investor protection schemes, a bit like the Financial Services Compensation Scheme in the UK. There will be almost no tax on investment gains, perfectly legitimately, apart from very small charges called withholding taxes. Offshore bonds have an element of life insurance. You pay a single premium lump sum to invest. The assets are held in the insurer's name, not in your name. That's how you benefit from the offshore tax advantages, and you enter into a contract of insurance with the provider. Offshore investing is a useful diversification tool which can help you protect assets and preserve wealth. The tax-free investment returns distinguish them from most onshore investment funds, where essentially all income and capital gains are taxed at the basic rate, roughly 20%. Therefore, by compounding your tax-free returns, you can grow a much bigger investment pot over time than you can with other UK collective funds. As offshore bonds aren't UK-based investments, you pay less UK tax if you're a UK expatriate or a foreign national living in the UK. Eventually, when you bring the money back on shore, it is liable for income tax. So you must have a strategy to deal with this. For example, you could time the encashment of your offshore bond to coincide with your retirement. You might defer taking income from your UK pension and use your full personal tax allowance to cover the gains made from the offshore bond. Or you could encash the bond when you are no longer a UK resident for tax purposes, even if this is only for a year. Usually, you would plan final encashment with your financial advisor long before you actually do it. Like onshore bonds, you can also draw 5% of the capital from your bond free of tax every year for 20 years without triggering a tax charge. This will not count as income for that year and is good for making the most of the higher personal tax allowance for older people. This is really deferred tax. That's not terribly important, but there may be some tax to pay after 20 years. This will benefit from something called top slicing, which can help to significantly reduce a tax bill on final encashment. Talk to your advisor about this. You should time encashment to coincide with a point in your life when you will be paying less tax. Get it right and you may not pay any tax at all. If the bond is held in trust, your estate can avoid 40% inheritance tax. If you have to encash when you are a higher rate taxpayer, you can also assign part or all of your bond to someone else, say a family member who doesn't pay tax, like a student, and make use of their personal tax allowance to avoid tax, a useful way to pass on wealth to the next generation. Offshore bonds are self-assessment friendly. No need to report to HMRC until final encashment. So much easier than unit trusts, which involve complex calculations. However, if you suffer investment losses, these cannot be offset against gains elsewhere. The charges can be relatively high, so it is important to check these and make sure the benefits of gross roll-up will outweigh the costs. In our opinion, you need to invest at least £75,000 for the figures to stack up. Typically, investors most suited to offshore bonds are higher rate taxpayers who anticipate being lower rate taxpayers in the future, perhaps in retirement or on moving abroad. Expats may find them advantageous, or a foreign national living temporarily in the UK. Offshore bonds can have many benefits for many people. Contact us today to find an advisor who will help you assess if offshore bonds are suitable for you.